Good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy Ryan, aka Mxnkey, and we are back with another freaking Monkey Monday video. In today's story, folks, we are going to be talking about a time that I decided to hit up my plug, get a bunch of flour, get a bunch of papers, and I ended up driving downtown near a college here in my state, and I parked up late at night, got some food, and then I decided to rummage through. Ooh, stutter. I decided to rummage through a construction site, climbing around stuff, and I actually ended up hotboxing one of the rooms that was on the construction floor. And then I made my way to the roof and also smoked on the roof. So, let's get into it, folks. Now, this took place last year. This took place around May of last year. May to June of last year, I believe. I give you the exact date, but I'd have to go way through my files or on my Reddit page, and I don't feel like doing that right now. But it was about a year ago. And on this day in particular, nothing too exciting. I was working I believe I was working at a restaurant. Oh, excuse the race cars over here. What the heck is going on? All right, we'll wait for him to get out of the way. All right. I believe at this time that I did this story took place, I was working as a dishwasher in a restaurant. What's new for Mxnkey, right? Always the dish boy. And I got off work pretty early. We got done at like 21:30. And I texted my plug. He actually happened to be close by. I hit him up. I was like, yo, let me get 5 grams. He's like, bet. That's going to be XYZ price. I pulled up on him because he was nearby, gave him that, ran to the closest smoke shop that just so happened to be open, and bought my usual King Palms because that's what I prefer. And after I left the shop, I did what I normally do, is went to the back. I went to the corner of a parking lot, and I got out my little tray. I got on my grinder, and I broke down the greens, and I loaded up the King Palms. I think I bought like 3 packets of 2, and I had 1 left over. So I filled 5. I bought the gram King Palms, and I filled 5 King Palms with obviously a gram each. And then I still had some left over from like the previous thing that I had been puffing on. I had like a pipe full of some stuff that I got beforehand that I hadn't finished. So I'll roll up all my stuff, and then I drove closer to the downtown by the college. I'm not going to say the college or the state. It was downtown. And there, I just happened to pass a Sonic, and I was like, yo, that sounds freaking dank. So I pulled into the Sonic, ordered food. I got my usual from Sonic was the 2 pretzels with the 8-piece or 6-piece boneless buffalo, and then I got me a milkshake. Chugged down a milkshake. I put the wings and the pretzels in my backpack actually. And I drove down to this downtown area by this college, and I just so happened to see this construction site, and I was like, yo, that looks really cool. Like, I wonder if I can get in there and take some cool photos. So I parked by the housing of this college place over here, and I got out, locked my car, put up my privacy visors, and I started walking. And I'm walking along. It's very dead. It's super late at night. I ended up getting down to that college probably close to 22:30, probably close to almost 2300 at night. So I parked, and I had about a 5-minute walk to go there. And as I was walking, I was just kind of looking around. I was like, this is a really pretty area, everything. I sparked up my bowl because I wanted to get a little bit pre-gamed before I started climbing fences and sneaking through things. And I reached this part of the fence, and I reached the part of the fence where it was attached to a little bit of a bridge. So I walked across the bridge, and I got up on the railing of the bridge, and then just kind of threw myself against the fence took my bag off, set my bag on the ground over the fence, jumped the fence, and then I had to squeeze through another little fence, all while navigating quite a bulky bag, because I had like snacks and water and like a first aid in my bag just in case something happens. So I started wandering around on the bottom floor, and it was like your typical construction, like dump trucks and I don't know the names of the construction equipment, but the ones that have like that little arm on it that can like dig trenches and stuff like that. They had like 3 of those. They had like 4 different cranes over there, because it was quite a big building. I think it had 9 stories. So I was just kind of wandering the ground level, went over, took some pictures of the crane, took some pictures of the cats or whatever they're called, the dump trucks, took some pictures of those, climbed inside those, and I was like, I'm gonna sit here inside this dump truck and eat my food. And I was like, no, like that's a little weird, like I'm not gonna sit in the dump truck. So I got out of the dump truck. Oh my gosh, excuse the wildlife here. I got out of the dump truck and I started to wander the construction site. And I'm walking around. First floor is chill. I got up to the second floor, walked around the hallways. It was just kind of rinse and repeat. I believe it was, like I stated earlier on, I believe I said it. If not, I'll say it again. I believe it was like housing for the local college up the road, because they had just built a new part for the college not too far. And I believe this was like either apartments or what is it called, like a dorm. It was either apartments or dorm housing, because one of the rooms was built, and like every other room, I noticed they had like 4 layouts for the entire building. There were like 4 or 5 layouts, which I might actually have some videos of, so if I do find it, I'll throw them in the video. I'm wandering the second floor, kind of going around, looking at all the pipes, looking at everything, looking at the blueprints, seeing everything. 3rd floor, 4th floor, nothing too crazy. And then I got to, most of the other floors were the same. I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to wander any more of these floors. I was like, I'm just going to go up to the roof. And out of the 8 stories, I got to the 8th floor. And I was like, hold on, I think I saw something, like a view that I wanted to go look at. So I walked over to like this window, and it had a cage on it. And I stuck my phone through the cage, took some photos. And then I was remembering that I didn't have very much water. I had like one little water bottle. It was one of those gas station, one of those tall gas station water bottles. And that puppy was getting down to being empty. I had like half of it full. And after climbing all those stairs, I chugged the rest of the water, and I was like, fuck. I was like, I don't have any drinks. So although I thought I had drinks inside my backpack, I definitely didn't. I just had the half of water bottle. And upon stumbling and wandering more of this construction site, I actually wandered up to the 7th, one floor before the top. So if it's 8, I went to the 7th. If it was 9, I went to the 8th. If it was 7, I went to the 6th. I ended up, excuse the wind, damn. I ended up going up to that floor, and I was walking around, and I literally called it. I said it. I was like, it would be really cool and really like just a blessing right now, because I have cotton mouth, if I could just find like an ice chest with a water and a nice crisp cold Gatorade. And sure enough, as I'm walking on this floor, I see that there's like a little tool bench. There's a little like workers tool bench with like 10-12 drawers, all their tools in there, a bunch of like the belts and everything for their worker tools. And then right next to that bench, excuse the wind again, right next to that bench is a big ass white cooler. Probably took like 4 people to load that thing up there. That bitch was big, and it was super deep. Still had ice in it, still had water in it. There were some empty water bottles in there, but I reached in and I ended up grabbing me brisk tea, another water, and a Gatorade. Put those in my bag, and I wandered back to where I went up the stairs, went to the roof, took my bag off, put my bag out of the window, climbed out the window. Then I was just wandering the roof, and as soon as I got on the roof, I had this bright idea of like, damn, I was like, although I'm tired and can't really breathe, because I just climbed like 6 fucking flights of stairs quickly like I normally do. I was like, I'm going to have a bright idea. I want to get high. Let's smoke. So I spark my ganj. I spark my bowl. I finish off my bowl, put that in my pocket, and then I sparked up one of these pre-rolls. And I'm wandering the roof. I was like, oh, there's a crane right here. I was like, maybe I can jump down and climb that crane. I'll go back down to the bottom and climb that. I was like, looks really pretty. This looks really pretty. And then I noticed off in the distance where I was wandering towards the other end of the building, I noticed that that 2 police cars had pulled in onto the road, and one parked behind the sign of the school. I forget what the school's name was, whatever. They parked behind the sign of the school, and then another one of the officers actually ended up parking inside the parking lot. And I was up on the roof for a good, honestly, I was up there for a good 30 or 40 minutes, because I smoked the rest of the bowl. I had 1 whole pre-roll, had a second, and then by the time I was done eating my chicken wings and my pretzel and drinking my Gatorade and that tea and the water that I had found in that cooler, I had already smoked all but 1. So I'm pretty zooted, and I was like, damn, it seems like it's about time for me to go. I was like, but I need to go out a different way, because where I jumped the fence at is where that cop was. So I had to figure out another way to climb the fence. So I finished eating, and like a good young Samaritan I am, I grabbed my trash, because I'm not that big of a prick to leave my trash up there on some random rooftop, all right? That's not me. That's not who I am, all right? We don't leave trash out here, folks, okay? We just explore construction sites, okay? We don't leave trash, all right? Leaving trash is worse. So I got everything up in my bag, went back down to the chest, got another tea, another water, and another Gatorade to go on the road for my doobie. And I walked down by that crane that I was talking about. And I'm on the complete other side of the block now. I've wandered like a block, because this building was fucking massive. They're building, I don't know, like this apartment building that they're building or creating, whatever. Freaking massive, dude. Like 2-3 cranes, dump trucks, like they're digging trenches and putting in electrical, and like it was just freaking massive. So I ended up climbing the fence behind one of the trucks over there, and I'm glad I set my location to one of my friends beforehand as well, because otherwise I wouldn't have really known, because I was on like a complete other side of the block. It was like completely different streets, completely different, like there's like a lot of like steep hills, and I was like, honestly, I know I just have to walk around. I was like, but I'm a bit of an idiot, and I'm also really fucking high, so I had to figure my way back there. So I ended up wandering around, and I just wanted to walk around anyways, because I had been sitting for like 20 or 30 minutes eating food, and I just kind of wanted to walk off all my exhaustion from climbing down all those stairs and climbing things inside the construction site in general. So I'm wandering, I see my car, I get in my car, put my bag away, take my mask off, take my camera off, say bye to the video or whatever I was filming, take a few more pictures, and then as I get in my car, I start the car, and there was a stoplight, went to the stoplight, I took a right, went up and over the bridge, turned right again, because I had to kind of weave through town, and then I came up to a stop sign, and I didn't completely stop at the stop sign, I'll be honest, I kind of California stopped that stop sign, and guess who fucking comes up behind me and turns on their lights? The damn cop. And keep in mind, I had just been smoking for the last like 30 or 45 minutes. So I smell like absolute Zaza. And it just so happened to be that inside my glove compartment, I had some cologne. So I hosed myself down with some cologne. And the cop's like, oh, like, you didn't stop for that stop sign, whatever, all the way. She's like, and you turned your blinker on too late. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, my apologies, officer. I was like, just tired, getting home. I made up some story. I was like, oh, I'm just out here visiting some friends, and we went to some restaurant down here. And she said some restaurant. She named it. I was like, yeah, we just left there. I was like, oh, I had a burger. I was like, I had the burger, and it was really good. Just pulling words out of my ass to, like, get out of the situation. And she was like, well, She was like, she didn't take my license, she didn't take my registration. We just kind of sat and talked for a little bit. And then she wished me good luck and told me to be safe and to go home and drive home safe and to turn on my blinker before I turn, not in the middle of my turn. And to completely stop at stop signs. And that was that. I ended up driving home. And when I got home, I laid in my front yard and I smoked that last pre-roll. And that was that. And that's the time that I wandered a construction site. I actually haven't been down there. I wanted to go back there and climb one of those cranes, but I'm pretty sure the building's already built now. But folks, that's the rest of the video. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.